Hello, I'm Anya Altamirano. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Empowering Teachers Worldwide. In the first video about portfolios, I explained what a portfolio consists of and how to present it to the class. At this point, the class has a clear understanding of each section, the tasks that will be included, your expectations, and also they have had practice with individual tasks. So now it's time to discuss the maintenance and individualization of the portfolios. So keep the maintenance of the portfolio simple. Explain your expectations of portfolio upkeep. Stress the importance of keeping it up to date and neat. You might want to draw up some simple rules. For example, explain that the portfolio shows a well-organized mind and work method. It needs to be neat and clean, well cared for, attractive to the eye, and all handwritten material in the portfolio needs to be legible and fairly free of mistakes. Also, highlight that there is room for creativity. Despite the rules concerning the physical appearance of the portfolio, let the students know that they are free to express their own creativity. Encourage them to decorate their portfolio with stickers, with drawings, attractive headings, anything they wish. Structure doesn't limit creativity, but it helps organize the basics while leaving their mind free to be creative. So those portfolios will also get fatter and fatter with papers, notes, drawings, scorecards. So be ready for this by being prepared for how you and the students are going to gradually judge the portfolio. So keep up with the grading. If you don't keep up with student scores on individual assignments, maintaining the student's grade can very quickly become overwhelming. So create master scoring sheets for yourself and for the students. For example, these cards can have columns and lines representing dates and different tasks. When you have assessed a task, immediately record the result in your chart or in your students' master list so that they have the same record. Get into the habit of spending a couple of minutes at the end of each class to record any numbers produced by the assessment. The great thing about keeping a portfolio is that the final grade shouldn't be a surprise for the students because they have been able to keep track of their grade throughout the course. Also, include the students in the assessment process. We don't want this resource to become a big paperweight, so to reinforce its purpose and utility, set aside time for students to engage with the content and give feedback on their process. Also, it's important to make students understand that portfolios not only give them the opportunity to stay current with their grades, they are powerful tools that promote self-reflection. Having students reflect on their own progress increases self-confidence and goal setting, and it is a life skill. So be sure to take advantage of this and allow time to get students to evaluate their own progress. And a great way of doing this is by encouraging student journals. So be proactive with the journal. Mark goals such as one entry every week or 2 weeks. If necessary, put these on the class calendar. Give them 1 or 2 specific questions to address in each entry. For example, why do you think this target language is important? What was the most difficult thing you had to learn this past week? How did you study for the semester test this time? Which task was the most or the least beneficial to increasing your understanding? Why? List 3 goals that you would like to achieve before the next test, quiz, activity. What do you need to do to achieve these goals? Also, creating a rubric for this task will ensure that they take the task seriously. Make the rubrics simple and record the score on the master scoring sheet. Students should also record the score on the individual cards. Also, well, here you have, for example, a model with rubrics. Suppose that they have to find prefixes, suffixes, and root words. And in order to do this, they are going to read a story. For example, The Elves and the Shoemaker. So this is the task sheet. They read the story, they create a chart, they identify 5 words that have prefixes or suffixes, etc. So here is the task that they have to do and the instructions. And here you have some sample rubrics. So you can and they can assess their performance using the rubrics. Also, along with allowing students to score their own portfolios, allow them to see and score others. Create blank scorecards, for example, based on the rubrics, so that the students can use these cards to score different aspects of their peers' work and ensure that they stay objective. So you can collect these, average them, share results. So this is a good way of giving peer feedback. In the case of student rubrics, for example, using words instead of numbers is probably the better take. For example, from simple yes/no questions to using words like satisfactory, fantastic, will be more meaningful to the students and they can be readily agreed on by everybody. So they might come to the conclusion during a discussion that excellent means that all the requirements of the rubric were met. Good means that most of the requirements were met. So in this way, they learn to work with rubrics and they have guidance. Word labels makes it easier to explain to them how they should assess their peers. However, if you want to keep the information consistent, you can have your own system that translates these words into numbers. For example, excellent would mean 5 points, satisfactory 4 points, etc. Also, provide feedback throughout the year. In a language course, we are not just focused on end-of-year results. The course is typically divided into units, 6 with periods, terms, trimesters, semesters. So be sure that you are taking time at the end of each of these periods for students to take stock of what they have done and what they need to accomplish. So give meaningful feedback periodically. Yes, at the conclusion of each marked milestone period in your class, as I said, month, trimester, semester, have a group evaluation session. This is a dedicated time for the students to look at their strengths, at their challenges, see their growth from the previous milestone, for example. You can make a fun grade card based on the tasks and the rubrics. You can include a box where you write encouraging words, for example, with a dozen useful phrases that you can use, yes, and they can use these phrases. So if a student was particularly good at working with a partner in a role play activity, you could cut and paste. You worked really well with your scene partners, being helpful and listening to critiques. So filling in the blank with a specific example of when such occasion occurred. Also, when you use you instead of he or she, you give the student that personal touch of evaluating them. Here you have some of the prompts of evaluating them personally, directly. So having these sessions periodically and not just at the end of the course enables the students to see what they have done, encourages them to perform well on future tasks, gives them the time to look over their grades and ask questions, and ensure they are kept up to date on their progress at all times. Now, at the end of the course is here, for example, right? And the students want to know how they did overall. When tallying the final grade, for example, remember that not all tasks will carry the same weight. For example, you may decide that quizzes will have less impact on the student's overall grade than role play activities. So those quizzes might only make up 10% of a student's final grade, while the role play activities will make up 15% of the final grade. Important, make it clear, make sure these expectations are clear to the students. Let them know why you are doing what. As a way to close out the end of the year, have the students review their grading chart and teacher feedback to remind themselves of what they have accomplished and their respective grades on the tasks. They can complete one more activity where they look back at their work and address prompts, for example. And not only will they have a numerical value or letter grade associated to the course, they will also have a collection of evidence and meaningful feedback that demonstrates their personal mastery of the subject. So, I won't deny it. Portfolio assessment systems require organizational skills on your part. You will be preparing a lot before the course begins. Convince administrators to purchase the materials having your objectives, tasks, informational skills, the rubrics, calendars, scorecards, master scoring, recording ahead of time. Now, if you prepare your course in a portfolio format, you will find that a lot of day-to-day tasks become easier. You will know ahead of time what you will need for the next class, and you will have adequate information available when grinding through the final grading process. And your students will have a physical representation of the work they have done throughout the course. They will have also a self-made language text, a tangible piece of work that they can refer to or look back upon as a reminder of how far they came from day one to the final day of your language class. It's not easy, it takes time, but once you get used to it, you will find portfolios a wonderful resource to use with your classes. Okay, so this is it for today. Here's my contact. If you have more questions or if you want, well, you can contact me here on my email. You can find me on LinkedIn. Here's my blog, which is under construction, and you can find more videos in the YouTube channel. So thank you very much, and till the next one.